Doke. I believe I am now live. So, hello everybody, and welcome to today's artist takeover with Artcore Gallery. My name is Lewis. Hello everybody. Just in case that delayed a little bit, I don't know how it works, but I'm Lewis Andrews. Nice to meet you all. I'm with Artcore Gallery today, doing an artist takeover. And today I'll just go through like my artworks, my kind of ideas, my influences, and if you've got any questions, feel free to ask and I'll try to answer them as best as I can as we go along. So, as I've already said, I'm Lewis Andrews. I'm a fine artist currently based in Leeds, but I was actually born in the south. I was born in Oxfordshire, but over time it seems to have just slowly made my way north. So I was born in Oxfordshire and then moved to Nottingham when I was about, let's say about 6 or 7, I can't really remember. I went to art college in Nottingham. Nottingham has a fabulous art scene that's still growing today. So it was great to be brought up around there. And then I moved to Leeds to study at Leeds Arts University, which I graduated from in July 2019. I studied fine art, and on that course, I really got to grips with my practice and my ideas and the materials that I use even still to this day. So I'll talk you a little bit through my practice. So my work kind of specializes in dealing with complex thoughts, facts, and ideas within nature and science. In some of those, it seems that we are overshadowed and overpowered in comparison by some of the vast distances, sizes, and quantities of these entities within nature. So take the size of the universe, for example. In others, I look at moments of extreme power, creation, and rebirth, both like on the smallest scale, like microscopic, to like stuff that happens billions of miles away and is millions of miles across, you know? And dealing with these complex relationships, I hope to question our place and our role within the universe, environment, and natural spaces. So, so where did this kind of interest in nature come from? Well, it came from, well, in first year, I was really just this is in university. In my first year, I was really just experimenting with materials, you know, getting a feel of what I enjoyed creating. And the kind of top 4, which are still very much used to these days, were drawing and photography, film, and kind of digital drawings, and then turning them into digital prints. Those are like the 4 main methods I make my artworks. And I do a lot of digital stuff, especially now at the moment with the current circumstances. It was only in second year that I started to have these interests within nature. And that, well, I'd always been interested in nature, I just never acted upon it within my artwork. And it was in second year that it really started to flourish. And the interest in astronomy came from when I was literally just doing a lot of reading into science, and then I stumbled across a few particular texts. Neil deGrasse Tyson's Origins book series, in which he describes like the birth of the universe and its life cycles, along with so many other complex processes. And I just fell in love with it yesterday. I fell in love with this cycle of the universe. And so an interest in like the life cycles of stars began to flourish within my artwork. And I made it kind of I want to say a mission, kind of the thing. It became a kind of mission to take myself and the viewer away from like here and now and place them like up close with these life cycles of the stars that happen like millions of miles away. And there's a few of my artworks that do that. There's the Origin series, which it breaks down the atoms that make up our own bodies. My body contains about 7 octillion atoms. That's 7 followed by 27 zeros. It's a lot of atoms. The 3 main ones, they're made up of loads of different elements, but fun fact here, all but 2 of them can be traced back to the heart of a dying star. I fell in love with that immediately and wanted to explore that a bit more. So I explored what elements were in the human body, and I'm talking about the origin work Human here. So this is one of my artworks from the Origin series, which explores what elements make up the human body and then pairs it with a drawing that's made from carbon, so ink, carbon ink, and it recreates the moment of a dying star. And by pairing the 2 together, I'm able to make the link that traces from the human body to the heart of a dying star. So tracing these elements back across billions of light years, across time as well, because this happened billions of years ago, to the very moment they were created in the heart of this star, because stars undergo a fusion process at their core. And there were several of these Origins artworks that I made. So the first one was the human body, because nothing more feels like a home front, as it were, than your own body. So I made one about human, and then it slowly started to look around me for everyday objects that I could do the same with. So there's an origin work for a pencil. That was really glorious to make, because you've got the elements of the trees, you've got the graphite, which is basically carbon, and then once again tracing them all back to the heart of a dying star. You've got love, which was it was kind of an ironic piece, because what it did is it took the chemical formulas that are responsible for love and then broke them down into their core elements to then trace them back to the heart of a dying star. But the ironic part is, for us to experience love, a star had to die billions of years ago, It's one of the more popular works for that reason. But, I enjoy that kind of, that tracing back, finding out where everything came from, what makes everything up around us. And this led into another series of works called the Carbon Drawings. Now, my carbon drawings, they, as the name suggests, they use primarily carbon elements. Oh, hold on, I'm getting a notification here. I'm very new to this live stuff, so apologies. So the carbon drawings, they kind of take the element carbon, and the element carbon is quite unique. It's a wonderful element because it's essential for all life on Earth. It makes up several things in our bodies, like sugars. Carbon is a critical element for it, and that's because carbon's so easily able to bond to other elements to create structures, organic structures, which is why it's essential for all life. So that kind of intrigued me a little bit. And so I used carbon primarily in the form of ink, which the ink I use is mostly carbon, like 98% carbon. So, and even the other trace elements can still be traced back to stars. But I used carbon in these drawings to link between us and its origins far out in the universe, by recreating the moment that a star's died, or when a star's alive, and fusing carbon in its core. Carbon is the third element, I think, to be made by supergiant stars. There's hydrogen here. Yeah, so it's a star normally fuses hydrogen throughout its entire lifetime, and then fuses into helium. And then it's one of the two. It's either into carbon, or it then goes to oxygen and then carbon. But carbon is one of the first few elements to be made through nuclear fusion. And when the star dies, it releases that carbon into the universe, and it gets dispersed within the interstellar medium, and along with all the other elements that are made in this star. And eventually, over time, it will, go on to form new planets and new solar systems like our own sun and our own solar system. So a star had to die for us to be made, So really, by taking the element carbon, I'm forming this link between us and the outer cosmos that spans like light years, time as well, and all of it can be traced back to the heart of a dying star. Hydrogen can be traced all the way back to the beginning of the universe because it was one of the first elements to be created by the Big Bang. And I have some of this work to show you. So this is one of my carbon drawings. It's in a nice frame because it was scheduled to go into an exhibition before, COVID-19 struck. So this is Supernova 14. So this is one of my supernova drawings that tries to reenact the moment of a dying star, purely using the carbon ink onto paper. I scrape away at the carbon until it creates these wonderful gaseous kind of cloudly shapes. And we got some of the attempts to recreate like the kind of shock waves that we've seen it from neighboring supernova that have occurred in 1987. This is why scientists are brilliant at naming stuff. In 1987, a supernova occurred in a nearby galaxy, and the scientists called it 1987A. And we were able to see this beautiful shock wave, this ring of fire, basically just expanding out into space. So by looking through like these observations, I can get kind of a clear image of what a supernova might look like if you were up close to it. You don't want to be up close to a supernova because the results aren't great. And to recreate a star during its life cycle, here's one of my other ones. This is Forge. So it was really about trying to recreate this powerful object up close, being up close and personal with it. And what I kind of like about, so this is where the art element of my work comes in. Art allows me to kind of put you up against something that you probably won't ever be able to see like up close. It allows me to bridge and navigate around like any space and at any time, and that's what I really love about it, because we can observe a star from light years away, but we can't actually be up close to it, whereas my art attempts to put you up close to this object to learn about like the kind of life cycles within it and convey that knowledge to it. There's a wonderful quote by Carl Sagan which I'd love to read for you. So I have it here. The nitrogen in our DNA, the calcium in our teeth, the iron in our blood, the carbon in our apple pies were made in the interiors of collapsing stars. We are all made of stardust. That's a wonderful quote by Carl Sagan. And he's one of the people I've read his texts, and he's fed only fuel to my like raging fire of ideas. And so, but most of my recent work, including the one that's currently in Artcore's Isolation Together exhibition online, which includes indie, inside, outside, and the in-between, is Distance 2020. It's one of the artworks that wants to reestablish a relationship between us and our neighboring sun. So our sun is like the thing that dominates the solar system. Without it, we wouldn't exist. Simple as. So it attempts to reestablish a relationship with that. But really, it was born out of, everybody's aware of the current situation that's right outside our windows, outside our doors, like in the world currently. And everybody got kind of, I know a few people that got upset when social distancing was introduced. And really, the Distance 2020 aims to reassure you that it's not all that bad by using the vast distances of like the cosmos. So as it says in the artwork, my friend is just over 900 meters away from where I am now in her house. But the sun is 25 trillion miles from its own neighbor. So it aims to re-establish that no matter what distance, nothing compares to the cosmos. So you're essentially not alone at all. And we have this wonderful tool with the internet to be able to still share our ideas and our artwork during these very obviously challenging times. So I think a lot of you are asking now, like where I get the kind of ideas from and who my influences are. So obviously, like, science plays a big part in my artwork, and regular reading of like scientific texts, discoveries, like knowledge about the universe, and all of that, and nature as well for some of my other artworks that don't have to do with the cosmos. All of the artworks are available to view on my personal website, which I will link in the description. But my main influences at this current point in time would be, artist-wise, you've got Katie Patterson. I absolutely adore her artwork and how she presents her ideas. You have Vija Kalmans, who, again, gorgeous artwork, and it recreates, like, I particularly adore her starscapes. Like, they basically draw you into the image and you get lost literally in this star field that she's created in her work. And then one of the other influences at this current point in time is actually a philosopher, and is Immanuel Kant's mathematical theory on mathematical sublime, where he basically talks about that a number can reach so far visually that it almost seems infinite. So basically, when let's say you're in the darkest place on Earth, and you look up at the sky, and there almost seems to be like thousands upon thousands of stars, and your mind just simply goes, I can't take this, and that kind of feeling of enjoying the moment but being overwhelmed by something in nature, that's the kind of sublime element that I'm interested in. But then to have it mathematically, so a number basically. So, and as you've probably seen in my artworks, that plays a big part with the numbers like displayed out for the kind of sublime aspect of that work. And so those are my biggest influences at the minute. I was actually really fortunate to see a Katie Patterson exhibition before everything started happening in February, so I'm very grateful for that. That's kept me going a little bit. So at this current point in time, like along with the exhibition that's currently held by Artcore Gallery online, everything's kind of moved online. That took quite a while to get the hang of, but I feel like I've got the hang of it now. And so it's just a matter of this current point in time, we can't do anything outside, so we've got to share all our ideas and everything online, which is perfectly fine, because the internet is a very good tool for doing that. We can show our artwork to other people, continue to grow each other, like, through our art practices. So my recent collaborations, there's been a few, but the ones I really want to mention is my current collaboration with an artist called Ellen Barrett, and we are working together on similar carbon drawing stuff, and we hope to have an exhibition through my website on the 23rd of April till the 7th of May, so keep an eye out for that. And then I also want to say, while I'm here, I've currently got an open call out for any artists that work with light. So I've got a current open call that wants to explore light both in quarantine and just before, natural light primarily. So it wants to investigate like how light can kind of heal us and lift our kind of spirits in these challenging times. So like if you've got any work that you think fits the theme of that, then head over to Curator Space. I'll probably put a link in the description for that. But that's the open call. It will go into an online exhibition and an online zine that I'm currently working on. So, yeah. So, has anybody got any questions that they would have for me? Michaela Hall says, love it. Thank you very much. Thank you. I don't know if there's a chat. Is there a chat? Is there a live chat? I don't know. But anyway, thank you, Michaela Hall. But yeah, guys, I feel like that's all I've got to share for you. But I hope you enjoy the In Isolation Together exhibitions. There's not just this one, there's more to come. They're going to be happening over the next, I think it's 4 weeks. There'll be a series of exhibitions with different artists, and I look forward to seeing every one of them. And yeah, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that I will talk to you again soon. So I'll leave you with this. Thank you very much for listening, and stay safe, stay healthy, and look after each other. Goodbye.